If you struggle with having your players believe in the secondary world, the world you're all playing in together, it may be an issue with your render. I work in video games, so when we talk about rendering, we're usually talking about exporting shots into distinct files. But in drawing, rendering is the process of taking something with flat colors and slowly adding shading and highlights until the picture becomes much more fleshed out and often more realistic. The same principle can be applied to role-playing games. You may be brilliant at outlining the basic setup of your scenes, but sometimes a little bit of rendering goes a long way into making your world seem more three-dimensional. Welcome to Mystic Arts, where I never let you guys forget that I went to film school. My name is Daði, I'm a professional writer and director, and I've been DMing for 10 years. When Matt Mercer made GM Tips videos back in 2016, he made one about getting players to roleplay. Specifically about speaking in character. He had a lot to say about the value of you, the DM, leading the experience. So if you want your players to roleplay, you need to roleplay first. If you want your players to be silly and do voices, you have to be silly and do voices first. If a DM wants their players to put themselves out there, they need to take the first steps and meet them halfway. If none of your players are speaking in character, I believe the primary reason is because they think it'll be silly if only one person does it, and they're afraid of embarrassing themselves or coming across as cheesy. So the natural solution, I think, is for the DM to be prepared to be the silliest person at the table. It's the only way nobody's worrying about themselves. You're already being so goofy. Do the biggest, most bombastic voice, contort your body, scowl, use props, gesticulate wildly, and then, very quickly, a player putting on a little voice or even just beginning to talk about how their character is different from them as a person will feel like a perfectly ordinary thing to do. And slowly, as you bounce off each other, you raise the tide. There is another trick though. This one has more to do with the environment and the mise-en-scene. My film school history teacher would be so proud. If you didn't go to film school or haven't watched those video essays from people who did, mise-en-scene is a French phrase that means what is put in a scene. Basically, it's the composition, set dressing, lighting, and actors. Everything that's in front of the camera. The whole scene as presented. You can sketch these scenes out quickly. You're at a tavern at night, there's people eating, and a burly barkeep. That's a mise-en-scene. A simple, unrendered sketch built on a basic foundation. Composition, set dressing, lighting, and you even cast an actor. And some extras. But then, how do you render the scene? Yeah, details. Radical, I know. When drawing, these details are added in passes as you go along. In RPGs, this is done similarly, but with words. What's important though is that if you just start detailing everything endlessly, your players' eyes will glaze over as they clock out. You have to render details as you go. Slowly, as the scene goes on, it becomes higher and higher resolution. A better render with each pass. When you walk up to the bar, you see the barkeep's got a broken nose and lumps of matted hair sticking out his ears. Gross, but characterizing. When the players talk to him, you do the requisite silly voice. Dance, monkey, dance. And when the heroes buy a drink, he slides over the drink, but it snags on the dirty bar, getting stuck in what appears to be some sticky substance from many nights earlier. Now the bar has texture, and the tavern got a bit more character. It's a grungy pub. When the players pick up the drink and decide to find a place to sit down, you say, you'll look around and spot a nice corner table at one end of the common room, seemingly lit by a column of blue moonlight coming through the window. And now you've lit the scene. You don't have to do this endlessly all the time. Sometimes sketches are all we need. But when you want to draw your players in, add renders as you go along. This communicates to the players that you are invested in the atmosphere, and they'll feel like a part of the scene as you construct various parts of the overall mise-en-scene. Listen, if I had to learn that word, so do you. I spend a lot of time zooming in and out of scenes. I'll gloss over an hour, a day, a month, as I prepare to cut to the next fun bit. So, first I slowly zoom out and transition to talking mostly out of character, asking the players about their goals, their ambitions. We roll dice for downtime activities or whatever else they have planned, and then I zoom in to a specific moment to give everyone an opportunity to react in character. Say you're traveling, you're doing a hex crawl, and we're going through the map, hex by hex, rolling dice, navigating, foraging, random encounters, the works. That's all out of character. But I know I want a scene to come up because I just rolled max on the random encounter table for the last watch. First, I look at the mise-en-scene. Composition, set design, lighting, actors. Working backwards, That's actors. On the last watch were Octavia the Paladin and Silas the Barbarian. 2 actors. Lighting? Well, it's night, but it's raining. Set design, they're in the forest. Composition? I think we shoot this shot through the canopy. Then I start narrating the scene. Silas and Octavia are on watch, sitting on one of the only dry boulders you could find during a constant, heavy downpour. You hear the rain pitter-pattering on the leaves and the tree bark in the elmwood forest, the sound filling the air around you. And then you hear a roar. Through the canopy, you see a massive red dragon soaring above, passing by, unaware of your presence. For now. Notice how I not only rendered the detail, but I made sure to engage the senses too. It's a common trick, but very effective. Describe sight, sound, and smell if you can think of it. It really helps to build immersion. I always forget about smells. Maybe that's because I tend to think cinematically. There's no smell in movies, except smell-o-vision.
Scratch and sniff the matching set on the front of your smell-o-vision card. That's all you need for smelly TV in 3D.
In screenwriting, we know that scenes need to be about something. Basically, there is a reason the audience is being made to watch that scene. Something has to change, something has to happen, or we need to understand something better. So, they tell us a scene has to be about something.
All that.
Yeah, Mr. Pink is right. When it comes to screenwriting advice, there is a lot of it. And even the best advice will ruin your stories when applied too aggressively. Let's talk about that tipping scene in Reservoir Dogs. It's 4 minutes long, which is long for any scene. And it's about tipping. It has nothing to do with the story. It doesn't mean anything, nothing changes. And you know what? It's enthralling. It's got good structure, an inciting incident, a midpoint, and a climax. It's all there. It's got no place being in the movie. We learn nothing.
I don't tip.
I mean, I guess we learned that Mr. Pink doesn't tip. I don't think every scene needs to be about something. You can have there be scenes where the players just exist. Give them an opportunity to be. Let them argue about tipping. Or politics. Or, since this is D&D, magic. Gods. Which monster tastes the best? To eat! Mike and it's sauteed in butter, obviously.
You don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Not every scene in your game needs to be about adventuring. Not every scene needs to further the plot, or introduce new lore, or establish new NPCs. And no, I'm not talking about downtime either. Nobody's crafting or managing a minigame. I'm just talking about good old scenes. Space to let the players embody and develop their character's personality, morals, backstory, even their favorite color. The next time you've got a break in your active combat zone we call a dungeon or a wilderness adventure, stop to smell the flowers. Take a moment, spend a little bit of time rendering the details of a scene, because when you do that, you're inviting your players to exist in a moment. And you've given them something to comment on. By describing a beautiful vista, they might comment on the beauty. By describing the barkeep's ear hair, they might comment on the beauty.
Fucking gross.
Don't yuck their yum. Rendering details also gives the players something to hang their hat on. The more you render that common room of the bar, the more details you give the players. The boar's head above the entrance. The patterned windows with depictions of Dryad, the barkeep's toothless smile, the free ale night they do on Tuesdays. Every time you do this, the place becomes more and more real in the player's imagination, and they'll want to come back to it. Oh, we should discuss this over drinks at the Boar's Head. The whole table will use it as a way to hook themselves back into the game and invite themselves to roleplay. This is such a powerful tool. Obviously, rendering everything all the time will wear itself out. You want to pick your moments, and also pick your locations. Most taverns can be sketches, but the Boar's Head, the one your players like the most, that one you'll render. And if your players fall in love with one of your sketches, then continue rendering it as it becomes more and more real to everybody. And that's where we'll pick it up next time. Thanks so much for watching this video. Me and my girlfriend make these videos together, both of us writing and editing, and it's been so much fun reading your guys' comments and watching the channel take off. It's been incredible. So we wanted to ask that if you found this video useful, let us know in the comments or by hitting the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this one, then consider subscribing and hitting the bell to be notified when we release new videos. Until next time, keep studying the mystic arts.